This here is the cliff edge view from my office for a couple of months of the year. It's not too shabby. It's not quite your normal office, I appreciate. This is actually on the northeast tip of Lewis, which is in the Outer Hebrides, overlooking the Minch, which is a vast expanse of water which separates the Outer Hebrides from mainland Scotland. In this area is where part of my job is to study some of the whales, dolphins, and porpoises, otherwise and collectively known as cetaceans, that use these waters. Back in the summer of 2011, I was sitting on my cliff, I had my binoculars in hand, and I was scanning this massive field of blue that just stretched out in front of me. Suddenly I saw something, and I thought, that's not right. And it stopped me in my tracks. And then I saw it again, and I thought, I must be going mad. Must be. There are around 30 species of whale, dolphin, and porpoise that have been recorded off the coast of the UK. And I knew that what I was seeing was not one of them. But more bizarrely, it wasn't one of the other 60 species of whale, dolphin, and porpoise that we know exist in other parts of the world. So what was it? Was I actually seeing a hybrid dolphin between two different species? Now, I know it might not sound like it, but studying dolphins can be quite a laborious and a thankless task at times. You watch and you watch and you watch for hour after hour after hour, and maybe you'd be lucky to see a distant splash on the horizon. However, there are moments of complete and utter wow, wonder, what a great job I have, this is exhilarating. It never gets old, it never gets tiring. When you see a dolphin leaping out the water in front of you, or bow riding meters from your face, whistling to all his friends to come and join in the fun, there are no words that I can use to describe just the sheer joy that is there. So since 2010, we've been studying a population of Risso's dolphins. They're a little studied species. We don't know too much about them, but that's because they prefer to spend their time in much deeper waters, offshore waters, and there's very few places in the world where they actually like to come that close to land. Lewis, however, provides suitable habitat. So there's steep drop-offs, there's also sheltered areas for the mothers to raise their calves, and most importantly, there's an abundance of their favorite prey, which is squid and octopus. So that's going to keep them there as long as there's lots of good food to have. What we do with Risso's dolphins is it's very easy to be able to identify individual dolphins. We can identify them through the markings on their fins, and this is on both sides of the fin, the right side and the left side of the fin. When we photograph them, we catalogue them. Every dolphin gets given a number, and every dolphin gets given a name. But that's just because it's easier sometimes to recognize when you're looking. You can go, oh, there's, and instead of remembering a number, you can remember a name. So to give you an example of this is seaweed. And there's no prizes for guessing why you get called seaweed. So this is him in 2010, 2013, and also 2018. So you can see how some of the markings have stayed the same over time. Some of them have faded slightly. He's also acquired some new markings. And again, you can see right side and left side dorsal fin. And that's important because, as you can also see, we don't always have the opportunity to be able to get both sides of the dorsal fin when we have an encounter. And this can be because of the dolphin's behavior, it can be because of bad weather conditions. So it's just very useful to be able to have both sides of the dorsal fin and try and update those photographs as and when we see them. Now, unfortunately, it's not always just dolphins that are causing the scratches on the dorsal fins. Risso's dolphins are incredibly social. They're very touchy-touchy. They use their teeth to cause rake marks down the fins and the bodies of other dolphins. But what we find as well is that human interaction also has an effect. The dolphin at the top we've called Lucky. She has had her entire dorsal fin sliced off. She has, however, managed to find a mate and have a calf who's healthy, and we've seen her in subsequent years. In the bottom left, we have Floppy. Floppy has suffered a blunt force trauma of some sort, and his entire fin has just folded over. But like Lucky, we've seen him on several occasions, several years, and he seems to be fit and healthy. And then on the bottom right, we have Tony, aka Scarface, who has had a little bit of an interaction with the propeller and not come off quite so well. Another species of dolphin that we get to see and we can understand through their dorsal fins individuals are the bottlenose dolphins. Now, the bottlenose dolphins are given that name because of the shape of their beak or their nose, which is bottle-shaped. So I need you to remember this and what this looks like. Bottlenose dolphins were what gave me my moment of wonder, my moment of stop me in my tracks back in 2011. Because bottlenose dolphins had never been recorded off the Isle of Lewis before. And also, I know what a bottlenose dolphin looks like. I've seen loads of bottlenose dolphins in my time. And what I was seeing back in 2011 was not a normal bottlenose dolphin. So as I say, the bottlenose dolphins have this bottlenose beak. The Rizzo's dolphins have a very boxy head. There's no beak whatsoever. It's really quite square. And what we were seeing was something between the two. If you look at these beaks in the animals, they have tiny little nubs. They really don't have the bottle shape. They don't have the squaring off either. The only one potentially is this top right where you think, that little chap, well, he maybe looks a little bit like a Rizzo's dolphin. Potentially, but it's much more sloped. But most importantly, with this one, his mum was a bottlenose dolphin. And that's not a bottlenose dolphin calf. So the only logical thing is these were hybrid dolphins between a bottlenose and a Rizzo's dolphin. Now, we can say that because when we first saw these dolphins in 2011, there was a lone Rizzo's dolphin in amongst the mix. That's not unusual. We normally get mixed species schools. But to see them again and again with bottlenose dolphins and Rizzos, something else is going on. So the first thing we thought to ourselves was, are these actually hybrid dolphins? This has never been recorded in UK waters, never for any species of whale or dolphin or porpoise in UK waters. It has been recorded elsewhere, a couple of places around the world. It's still a pretty rare phenomenon. Interestingly, however, the most recent discovery was actually of a melon-headed whale and a rough-toothed dolphin. And the researcher who discovered it turns out to be a distant cousin of mine, which we only recently found out, so small world. So the very first thing that we did with the dolphins that we'd encountered in 2011 was we took their dorsal fin images and we compared them against all the other existing bottlenose dolphin catalogues. So there's 4 resident populations of bottlenose dolphins throughout the UK. It came back with absolutely no matches apart from one individual. And even then, she had only been seen once, 4 years previously, slightly further south than our field site, associating with Rizzo's dolphins. We affectionately called her Cake. I know there's been quite a lot of cake discussed about today. She was called Cake, and her offspring, who we also believe to be hybrid dolphins, have been dubbed Muffin and Biscuit. Cake and her ever-increasing gang of Rizzo's hybrid dolphins have been encountered several times by us since 2011, but they've also been encountered by other wildlife enthusiasts who are kind enough to send me their images. And obviously this helps us to build up a picture over the years of who they're associating with, when they're associating with them, and when they're having calves, and potentially we know who the mothers are, and then we can start to determine female, male, etc. So importantly, why is this happening? Well, I would love to know. There are a few theories as to why this is happening. With climate change, we're finding that several species of dolphin are showing distributional changes. So they tend to be moving further north as the waters are warming. This gives much more chance for there to be mixed species groups. And therefore, with that chance, there is more chance for sexual interaction. However, as with humans, just because there's sexual interaction, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to result in offspring. For example, in the Bahamas, they have got 2 species of dolphin, bottlenose and spotted, who they see mating frequently, and they have never yet had a hybrid dolphin being produced. So potentially another reason is that Cake is just a dolphin who has a propensity for something different. Maybe she had a Katy Perry moment, she kissed a Rizzo's and she liked it. More likely, what's probably happening is that there's a genetic bottleneck, and that's a bottleneck this time, not a bottlenose. Maybe what we have is a lack of available Rizzo's females. Maybe we have a lack of available bottlenose males. Now, this is possibly borne out by the fact that we are seeing smaller group sizes of Rizzo's dolphins than have been seen in recent years, and we're seeing a higher sighting frequency of bottlenose dolphins. So we truly believe that there's something a lot more than just opportunistic sex going on underneath the water. So what does this mean for the future? What does this mean for the future of Rizzo's and for bottlenose dolphins off the coast of Lewis? Because this is the only place in the UK that we have seen this hybridization between two species. On a worldwide scale, we are seeing a decline in populations and even entire species of dolphin. Some of them are hurtling towards extinction as we speak. So potentially this observed hybridization is actually signs of a precipitous decline in one or both of these species. Now, it used to be that we thought that any hybridization between mammals was maladaptive, that it was a dead end, that the animals were infertile, and that it wasn't going to go anywhere. Well, it turns out that researchers have recently found out that one species of dolphin, the Crimean dolphin, is in fact the result of a past hybridization event between two species of dolphin. So, potentially, what we are seeing here is the evolution of a new species. We are seeing the evolution of a species which is much better adapted to a changing environment. One thing we can be sure of is that our hybrid dolphins are fertile. They are producing calves. So therefore, we have to say, is Cake the founding mother of a new species? Or perhaps it will just come to nothing. Either way, we will continue to keep our eyes on the water. We will continue to watch respectfully from a distance, and we will continue to try and put those pieces of the hybrid jigsaw puzzle into place. It's fascination, curiosity, and wonder that has driven us this far and will continue to drive us into the future. Thank you.